Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wellness and Faith with Wherry here with your Sunday inspiration. To kick off the week, I hope that you are having an amazing day and that you are prepared to also have an amazing week as well. So we are continuing with our hashtag moment, which is Keep the Faith. And as you can see, the title of this topic or of this video today is titled Delay Does Not Mean Denial. So last week, I talked about the story of Mary, the mother of Jesus. And in that story, I actually mentioned her cousin Elizabeth and stated that, maybe I'll talk about Elizabeth next week. Well, surprise, I did decide to go ahead and use Elizabeth as our example for keeping the faith. So we're going to go ahead and get into our hashtag moment. If you have any questions, thoughts, anything that you would like to add, feel free to put those right into the comment. And then as always, we'll close out the video with a dose of spiritual wellness. So first, let's give the summary of the story of Elizabeth. So Elizabeth was married to Zachariah. Zachariah was one of the priests. Because of the number of priests that served during that time, it was not very likely that someone would be able to be chosen to actually go and have the opportunity to minister or to serve within the holies of holies. I won't go into a lot of detail about that, but just long story short, in that biblical times, they had a temple, and the temple was separated into different sections. And depending on your title or who you were, that determined what parts of the temple that you can have access to. The Holy of Holies was a very sacred place, and only priests had access to that portion of the temple. So here it is that we're back in the story with Elizabeth and Zachariah. It was around the time where the priests were actually designated to go and to serve within the holies of holies. And so they drew lots, or they decided, out of all the priests, who would be the next person to do this or to have this responsibility. And Zachariah was the one that was chosen. Now, Zachariah was definitely up in age, and this was the opportunity of a lifetime. And so he went into the holies of holies, and then he's there and he's serving, in that special place in the temple. An angel of God appears. Now, when this angel shows up, Zachariah becomes very afraid, which is understandable because it's like, whoa, wait a minute. This was not something normal that happened every time that a priest went in to serve in that portion of the temple in the holies of holies. And so for you to be visited by angels, that you prayed first that it was good news and that not something bad was going to happen. And so when the angel appeared, he could tell that Zachariah was afraid. And so he told him, don't be afraid. I come with good news. Your wife is going to have a son. So Zachariah is like, hold up, wait a minute. Me and my wife is really up in age. We get the senior citizen discounts. Okay, so not really. That's the 2020 version, but you know what I mean. But he says like, hey, we're really up in age, and how's this going to happen? Because we're way past the age where we can get down like that and have a baby. And so the angel tells him like, okay, it's going to happen, but because you didn't believe, you are now going to be unable to speak until your son is birthed. But oh, by the way, make sure you name his John, because that is the name that he should have. Okay. So Zachariah comes out of the holies of holies, and everybody is amazed because one, he was in there for like forever. So they're like, oh my gosh, you must have had like a real deep experience in the holies of holies. Like, tell us all about it. What's up? And Zachariah cannot say anything at all. So now the people are even more astonished because they're like, oh my goodness, like what happened? Like, we really need to get the details. We need to see, right? So Zachariah goes home. He's with his wife. He still can't speak, but they end up coming together in a romantic sense. And sure enough, she gets pregnant. So Elizabeth, what is believed, according to like biblical scholars, that she was around 60 years of age. And so back in biblical times, and of course, even today, just a woman getting pregnant at 60 years old is truly, a health miracle, right? And so she's pregnant and she ends up giving birth to the son. And at the time of the birth, or right after actually the baby, the son, was born, everybody's asking like, oh, what are you going to name him? You should name him Zachariah, because again, another biblical tradition was to name the sons after their father. So they're like, oh, he needs to be Zachariah. And so that's when Zachariah's ability to speak suddenly came forth, and he's like, no, his name is supposed to be John. And this John actually grew up to be John the Baptist, who was the one to foretell the coming of Jesus Christ. And just there's so many other things that he did as well. But you can read his story and also a little bit more just about, the details of Zachariah and Elizabeth, by actually reading in Luke. So the story actually starts in Luke chapter 1. So keeping the faith. At this point, when Zachariah receives a message from the angel that his wife is going to become pregnant and that they're going to have a son and to name him John, Zachariah is in disbelief because it's like, okay, we're old. We've given up on this dream. Possibly we haven't even been praying this prayer, anymore. So how is this even going to happen? And despite the fact that all the circumstances around them said, no, your dream, your desire to have a son would not happen. Here it is that you have an angel now appearing to them to tell them that, yes, your prayer was heard. You're going to have a son and to name him John. And so that actually moves us right into the dose of spiritual wellness for today, which is delay does not mean denial. Even though Elizabeth and Zachariah were both very old, even though they had probably not seen anyone else at their age give birth to their first child, is that they still had this opportunity to now have the experience of actually birthing a child, having a child, and having their long-term desire come to pass. And so I want you to remember today for the rest of the week that delay does not mean denial. Even though it may have been months, weeks, or even years since you've had the desire, and it may seem that you are way past your time for it to happen, even though it may seem like you're too old or you don't have enough experience or whatever the issue may be, or you're concerned because of just the timing right now, do know that God is not constrained by the confines of time. He's not constrained, even by the limitations that we may see in our own earthly bodies. He created our bodies. He's the creator of the entire universe. And so the same God who is able to fling the stars into space and to keep the sun and the planets, orbiting around the universe, the same God who created our bodies that are so intricately designed and that works together as a functioning system, is the same God who orchestrates and designs your life as well. So I want you to remember that delay does not mean denial. So that is our Wellness and Faith with Sherry Wherry for today. I look forward to seeing you all next week. If you would like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Sherry_Wherry. You can find me on Facebook and my Facebook business page at Sherry C. Wherry. And then my website is sherrywherry.com. All right, so take care. Have an amazing day. And for the ladies of the self-care group, remember that we have other broadcasts that happen throughout the week as well. So our next broadcast will be Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where Sharia and I actually go live for the virtual support group. So make sure that you join us. If you're not able to catch us live, you can always watch the replays. If you have topics or things that you would like for us to share, you can certainly send a message in one of the videos that we post on Thursdays, or you can send a message to the group as well. And then on Saturdays, we post for Small Business Saturday, where we give tips for you to be able to start, grow, and maintain your business. So make sure that you keep in contact with us. Again, have an amazing week. Make yourself a priority, and I look forward to seeing you next Sunday or Thursday for the self-care group. All right, bye.